very good at abstraction and are reading about things and theorizing about them and so on and so forth. What's needed are ways for engagement. One of the interesting things to think about when we think about higher education now is what we arrive at college lacking that's different from what we used to lack. Okay, when we started, when UVM or Middlebury or Harvard or place else was founded, most Americans would arrive at these places with a very strong grounding in the practical world. The odds were that they came from a farm family and knew how to farm, or maybe there was some other thing. And they had a very concrete knowledge of the world, and they needed some finishing. You know, they needed a layer of abstraction added on top of this, so they'd have something to think about while they farmed, or so that they could join. So here one came to sort of learn about mediation and get some books and have some. It strikes me that we've largely reversed that now. Most of us, we're the first generations whose experience of the world is mostly mediated and not direct. It's not, our experience of the world isn't formed in contact with the natural world or with each other. It's formed just in terms of the number of hours and things we spend through a series of screens. And instead of adding the kind of layer of polish and abstraction, to add a layer of kind of grittiness and engagement. And so in a weird sense, the kind of higher purpose of college has almost flipped in a way, it seems to me. Part of the stuff that's going on that's really cool just to see happening is a re-engagement with very practical things. 10 years ago at Middlebury, I was the first faculty advisor when we started the farm garden. I remember some administrators saying, well, we wouldn't want people to think that we were an agricultural school, I don't think that's going to be a big problem, don't worry. But I did make the point that it was odd that we took every other form of culture seriously, visual culture and literature, and dance culture and whatever else, but that the idea that one would sort of think seriously about agriculture would, so clearly UVM replaces, has a school set aside for that, and that's really good. And it's probably good that it's also now integrating more into the rest of the curriculum. So that kind of engagement is good. And so I think is this, larger engagement in the political and social life around us. And global warming, in a sense, in a way, kind of forces us on it, forces it on us, because it's the first problem we've almost ever encountered, I think, that is so large, so totalizing in its connection to everything, that pretty much everyone's going to have to be involved in multiple ways if we're going to have any hope of actually beginning to deal with it. If you're an engineer, you have to figure out how to build wind turbines. If you're a economist, you have to figure out how to price carbon. If you're a theologian, you have to figure out how to get, how to extract from our scriptures the connection to ecological things. If you're a psychologist, you have to figure out how to overcome our, mental, focus on the very short term so we can think a little larger. If you're an international studies expert, you have to somehow figure out for the first time how we're going to cooperate across countries to make things work. So that's all very good and should be the text of much of the kind of academic work that we do. But the other part of it is, this deep need for engagement as citizens in forcing the change around climate change, that forcing the kind of political stakes in this in a way that actually might produce something happening in time to matter. Not an easy thing to do. The system is very much loaded against that happening. The unbelievable financial power of the fossil fuel industry has been enough to really keep the questions from arising politically or reaching a kind of critical state. if we're going to do anything about that, we're going to have to learn engagement. And I'm afraid, to a large extent, young people are going to have to be provide much of the leadership. At least that's what's been happening. You guys have a larger stake in it, in a sense. So I've got, if all goes well, another 25 or 30 years to deal with this planet, before I leave for the next one. You guys, if all goes well, or even if it doesn't go so well, have 70 years or something. So the question is how to kind of make that engagement happen as much as possible. And for me, I mean, one of the things that's important is to get college students thinking to the degree they can about their campus, but B, beyond their campus, all right? So on campus is important, and that's traditionally where most kind of activism and engagement has come, as people try to make their campuses better. And that's really good and really nice to see. And I was really heartened, for instance, to see that after years of work, people here at UVM had finally managed to vanquish the plastic water bottle, That's a good thing, and good on you all who made that happen. It's also true that perfecting one's campus is at best a small start in getting change of the scale we need in the larger world. The interplay between colleges and political life is really important. All the recent moments when there have been large things that have happened politically, it's been students who have been in the forefront. And my sense from traveling around the country and around the world is the notion that if there was a kind of moment of student apathy, that's largely over, and people are eager to be involved. And that's really good, and that what people are always trying to figure out is what's the level to be involved in that makes the most sense and whatever. And I think the answer is on several different levels, and you need to be doing things in your home place, on your campus, in your community. But given the global nature of the biggest problems we now face, especially climate change, we also need to figure out ways to be kind of involved in a larger and coordinated way as well.